अष्टोत्तर शतश्रीमद् श्रील भक्तिवेदांत नारायण गोसाई महाराज श्रील गुरुदेव की जय। नितिल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शतश्रीमद् श्रील भक्तिवेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जय। नितिल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शतश्रीमद् भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। नितिल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शतश्रीमद् भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोसाई महाराज की जय। नितिल विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शतश्रीमद् भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद की जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट महाभागवत श्री गोक्षरस बाबूजी महाराज की जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट श्री सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबूजी महाराज की जय। श्री रूप गौरिया गुरु वर्ग की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्ट दास रघुनाथ शर गोसाई प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंद ऋषि गौर प्रसाद वृंद की जय। नाम आचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदात गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जय। श्री मुन देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योग माया की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय राधिकाय प्रियात्मने श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्त नारायणीति नामिने। नमो ॐ पदाय कृष्णाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरतिशे नमः। गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तरभक्ताय नमो नमः। यं प्रव्रजन्तम् अनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुस्तं सार्वभूत हृदयमानतोऽस्मि। नारायणं नमस्कृतं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तना हृदन्तस्तो ह्यभद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सतम्। नष्टप्रयेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भागवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। तवैवास्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना इति विज्ञाय राधे त्वां नायमां शरणान्तिकम्। भक्त्या विहीना अपराधलक्षय क्षिप्ताष्टकामादितराङ्गमध्ये कृपामयि त्वं शरणं प्रपन्नवृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दम्। भज श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासरि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dandavat Pranams Madhavi and Raseshwari Mataji and Ganga Didi, Rup Manjari Didi. Oh, Raseshwari Mataji is watching in 2 places, on Facebook and on YouTube. And what was it? It's also Dandavat Pranams Indira Mataji, who isn't here right now, but she'll be watching later on. She had to travel somewhere. So, day before yesterday, we read this very exciting chapter, the battle between the demigods and the demons. We read the description of the fierce war, their carriers, the commanders, and the pairs of fighters who fought against two. And then Bali Maharaja's attack on the demigods, and then Lord Hari appears and kills demons. Okay, I'm not going to read this all because we have a long reading day today. But I want to see the carriers. That was so interesting. Okay. The soldiers fought on the backs of camels, elephants, asses, monkeys, tigers, lions, vultures, eagles, ducks, hawks, timangillas, buffaloes, rhinoceroses, bulls, jungle cows. Forgot what a jungle cow is. Anyways, jackals, rats, lizards, rabbits, human beings, etc. My God, imagine being a human being carrier for a demigod or a demon. Okay. And they were very nicely decorated. Then Bali Maharaj sat on an airplane. And then King Indra sat on Airavat. So this is who fought against two. Indra versus Bali, Kartikeya versus Tarka, Varuna versus Heti, Yamaraj versus Kalnabha, my God, Vishwakarma versus Mayadanava, Sun God versus the 100 sons of Bali, Soma the moon versus Rahu, Lord Shiva versus Jamba, Cupid versus Durmarsha, the Matrika demigoddesses versus Utkala versus Shukracharya, the Rudras versus the Krodavashas. Yikes. My God, that's one of the most intense. Where's Durga? Durga was fighting against somebody. Anyways. Maybe she's just like, she was just fighting against everybody, not against one person. Okay. The soldiers slashed each other to pieces. Their necks, thighs, legs, arms, and ornaments, everything was torn apart. Due to the trampling of both parties, dust rose violently in all directions, covering the outer space with a dust cloud. Later, because of the blood that sprinkled down and sprayed up as far as the sun, the dust cloud could no longer float. The warfield became strewn with severed heads, arms, ornaments, clothing, legs, and thighs. Many ghostly headless trunks, which could see with the eyes in their fallen heads, attacked the enemy soldiers. This is so great. Okay. Anyways, I'm gonna just move on. Okay, unable to counteract the demoniac illusions, the demigods meditated on the Lord. Even after drinking the nectar and having all these like amazing personalities on their sides, like Shiva and Indra, Yamaraj, the god of death, this sun god, all these people, still they were getting defeated by the demons. And so then they prayed to Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu appeared sitting on Garuda, dressed in yellow, decorated by the Kaustuba gem and the goddess of fortune, an invaluable crown and earrings, and he held 8 weapons in his 8 hands. All the illusions vanquished by the Lord's presence, just as the dangers of a dream cease when the dreamer awakens. Indeed, simply by remembering the Lord, one is freed from all dangers. Okay, I'll just read. Kalanemi, Kalanemi is fighting Yamaraj, right? Anyways, he was riding on a lion. He threw his trident at Garuda's head. Lord Vishnu caught it mid-air, and with the same weapon killed Kalanemi and his lion. Later, the Lord beheaded Mali, Sumali, and Malyavan with his disc weapon. Now, King Indra annihilates the demons. Now, there's a verbal fight between Indra and Bali Maharaj. There's so many, how many incarnations of the Lord are there in this story? It's like just doesn't end. Must be like 8 or something? I don't know. King Indra annihilates the demons. As described in this chapter, the great saint Me, being very compassionate to the demons who had been killed by the demigods, forbade the demigods to continue killing. Then Shukracharya, by his mystic power, renewed the lives of all the demons. Having been graced by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the demigods began fighting with the demons again. They began fighting with renewed energy. King Indra released his thunderbolt against Bali, and when Bali fell, his friend Jambasura attacked Indra, who then cut off Jambasura's head with his thunderbolt. When Narad Muni learned that Jambasura had been killed, he informed Jambasura's relatives, Namuchi, Bala, and Paka, who then went to the battlefield and attacked the demigods. Narad Muni's always helping the demons. Indra, king of heaven, severed the heads of Bala and Paka and released the weapon known as Kulisha, the thunderbolt, against Namuchi's shoulder. The thunderbolt returned unsuccessful, and thus Indra became morose. At that time, an unseen voice came from the sky. The voice declared, "A dry or wet weapon cannot kill Namuchi." Hearing this voice, Indra began to think of how Namuchi could be killed. He then thought of foam, which is neither moist nor dry. "Gonna kill him with foam! Using a weapon of foam, he was able to kill Namuchi. I'm really curious what that weapon is like. Thus Indra and the other demigods killed many demons. Then at the request of Lord Brahma, Narad went to the demigods and forbade them to kill the demons any longer. All the demigods then returned to their abodes. Following the instructions of Narad, whatever demons remained on the field took Bali Maharaj to Asta mountain. There, by the touch of Shukracharya's hand, Bali Maharaj regained his senses and consciousness, and those demons whose heads and bodies had not been completely lost were brought back to life by the mystic power of Shukracharya. 1 second, just need a drink. Getting a really bad headache. Don't know why. Wonder where Pradyumna Prabhu is. What's first known application of? What's that? Arrow kills. Okay. Shri Shuka Uvacha. Atosura Pratu. Oops, I forgot to go live on page. Yeah, I don't see Gargaraj here. But wait, I think sometimes he watches here and I forgot to go live there. I didn't go live on the Daily Bhagavatam page. Anyways, I'm going live now. Okay. Okay, Shishuko Vacha Atosura Pratyupalabdha Chetasa Parasya Pungsa Parayanukampaya Jagnur Prisham Shakra Samiranadayas Tangstan Raneyar Abhisam Samhata Pura. Shukadev Goswami said, Thereafter, by the supreme grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Hari, all the demigods, headed by Indra and Vayu, were brought back to life. Being enlivened, the demigods began severely beating the very same demons who had defeated them before. Vairochanaya samrabdo Bhagavan Pakashasana Udayachad yada vrajram Prajaha heti chukushu. When the most powerful Indra became angry and took his thunderbolts in hands to kill Maharaj Bali, demons began lamenting, Alas! Alas! Vajrapanish tame ahe tamahedam tiraskritya purastitam manasvinam susampannam vicharantang mahamrite. Sober, intolerant, and well-equipped with paraphernalia for fighting, Bali Maharaj moved before Indra on a great battlefield. King Indra always carries the thunderbolt in his hand, rebuked Bali Maharaj as follows. Natavan murdhamaya bhir mayeshano jigishasi jitva balan nibadakshan nato harati tadhanam. Indra said, O rascal, as a cheater sometimes binds the eyes of a child and takes away his possessions, you are trying to defeat us by displaying some mystic power, although you know that we are the masters of all such mystic powers. Aruganti maya bhir utsisripsanti ye divam tandasyun umyaja agyan purvashmachcha padad adha. Those fools and rascals who want to ascend to the upper planetary system by mystic power or mechanical means, or who endeavor to cross even the upper planets and achieve the spiritual world or liberation, I cause to be sent to the lowest region of the universe. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Oops. Sorry, 1 second. There are undoubtedly different planetary systems for different persons, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 14:18. Urdhvam gachanti sattvastha. Persons in the mode of goodness can go to the upper planets. Those in the modes of darkness and power, however, are not allowed to enter the higher planets. The word Divam refers to the higher planetary system known as Swarga Loka. Indra, king of the higher planetary system, has the power to push down any conditioned soul attempting to go from the lower to the higher planets without proper qualifications. The modern attempt to go to the moon is also an attempt by inferior men to go to Swargaloka by artificial mechanical means. This attempt cannot be successful. From this statement of Indra, it appears that anyone attempting to go to the higher planetary systems by mechanical means, which are here called Maya, is condemned to go to the hellish planets and the lower portion of the universe. To go to the higher planetary system, one needs sufficient good qualities. A sinful person situated in the mode of ignorance and addicted to drinking, meat eating, and illicit sex will never enter the higher planets by mechanical means. Soham durmaniyas Soham durmaistedya vajrena shataparvana shiro harishe mandatman ghatasva gyatibi saha. One second. Today, with my thunderbolt, which has hundreds of sharp edges, I, the same powerful person, shall sever your head from your body. Although you can produce so much jugglery through illusion, you are endowed with a poor fund of knowledge. Now try to exist on this battlefield with your relatives and friends. Shri Balir Uvacha Sangrame Vartamananam Kala Chodita Karmanam Kirtir Jayo Jayo Mrityu Sarvesham Anukramat. Bali Maharaj replied, all those present on this battlefield are certainly under the influence of eternal time, and according to their prescribed activities, they are destined to receive fame, victory, defeat, and death, one after another. Purport. If one is victorious on the battlefield, he becomes famous, and if one is not victorious but is defeated, he may die. Both victory and defeat are possible, whether on such a battlefield as this, or on the battlefield of the struggle for existence. Everything takes place according to the laws of nature. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha. Since everyone, without exception, is subject to the modes of material nature, whether one is victorious or defeated, he is not independent, but is under the control of material nature. Bali Maharaj, therefore, was he knew that the fighting was arranged by eternal time, and that under time's influence, one must accept the results of one's own activities. Therefore, even though Indra threatens that he would now kill Bali Maharaj by releasing the thunderbolt, Bali Maharaj was not at all afraid. This is the spirit of a Kshatriya. Yuddhe chapyapalayam. Yuddhe chapyapalayanam. Bhagavad Gita 1843. A Kshatriya must be tolerant in all circumstances, especially on the battlefield. Thus, Bali Maharaj asserted that he was not at all afraid of death, although he was threatened by such a great personality as the King of Heaven. Taridam kalarashanam jagat pashyanti suraya na harishyanti na shochanti tatra yuyam apandita. Seeing the movements of time, those who are cognizant of the real truth they neither rejoice nor lament for different circumstances. Therefore, because you are jubilant due to your victory, you should be considered not very learned. Purport. Bali Maharaj knew that Indra, king of heaven, was extremely powerful, certainly more powerful than he himself. Nonetheless, Bali Maharaj challenged Indra by saying that Indra was not a very learned person. In Bhagavad Gita 2.11, Krishna rebuked Arjuna by saying, Asochan anvasochastvam pragyavadangscha bhashase gatasung agatasungscha nanu shochanti pandita. While speaking learned words, you are mourning for that which is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor the dead. Thus, as Krishna challenged Arjuna by saying that he was not a pundit or a learned person, Bali Maharaj also challenged King Indra and his associates. In this material world, everything happens under the influence of time. Consequently, for a learned person who sees how things are taking place, there is no question of being sorry or happy because of the waves of material nature. After all, since we are being carried away by those waves, what is the meaning of being jubilant or morose? One who is fully conversant with the laws of nature is never jubilant or morose because of nature's activities. In Bhagavad Gita 2.14, Krishna advises that one be tolerant, tangstatikshvasa bharata. Following this advice of Krishna's, One should not be morose or unhappy because of circumstantial changes. This is a symptom of a devotee. A devotee carries out his duty in Krishna consciousness and is never unhappy in awkward circumstances. He has full faith that in such circumstances, Krishna protects his devotee. Therefore, a devotee never deviates from his prescribed of devotional service. The material qualities of jubilation and moroseness are present even in the demigods, who are very highly situated in the upper planetary system. Therefore, when one is undisturbed by the so-called favorable and unfavorable circumstances of this material world, he should be understood to be Brahma-bhuta, or self-realized. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 1854, Brahma-bhuta prasannatma na sochati na kankshati. One who is transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. When one is undisturbed by material circumstances, he should be understood to be on the transcendental stage, above the reactions of the three modes of material nature. Navayang manyamananam atmanam tatra sadhanam giro vasadu sochyanam grinimo marmatadana. You demigods think your own selves are the cause of your attaining fame and victory. Because of your ignorance, saintly persons feel sorry for you. Therefore, although your words afflict the heart, we do not accept them. Shri Shuka Uvacha Ityakshipya vibhum viro narachar viramardana akarna punarahanar akshepar ahatang puna. Dandavat pranams Pradyumna Prabhu and Gargaraji. I was asking about both of you, actually. Okay, I just read that. Shukadev Goswami said, after thus rebuking Indra, king of heaven, with sharp words, Bali Maharaj, who could subdue any other hero, drew back to his ear the arrows known as Narachas and attacked Indra with these arrows. Then he again chastised Indra with strong words. Evam nirakrito devo vairina tatyavadina namrisat tad adikshepam tatro hata eva dipa. Since Maharaj Bali's rebukes were truthful, King Indra did not at all become sorry. Just an elephant beaten by its driver's rod does not become agitated. So he's like, okay, I guess that's fair. Praharat kulisham tasma amoghang paramardana sayano nyapatar bhumo chinna paksha iva chala. When Indra, the defeater of enemies, released his infallible thunderbolt scepter at Bali Maharaj with a desire to kill him, Bali Maharaj indeed fell to the ground with his airplane, like a mountain with its wings cut off. Purport. In many descriptions in Vedic literature, it is found that mountains also fly in the sky with wings. When such mountains are dead, they fall to the ground, where they stay as very large dead bodies. What I would do to see a flying mountain with wings. Shayanam patitam drishtva jambo bali sakasurit abhyayasit sohridam abhyayat sohridam sakyur hatasyapi samacharan. When the demon Jambasura saw that his friend Bali had fallen, he appeared before Indra, the enemy, just to serve Bali Maharaj with friendly behavior. Sasingha vaha asadya kadam udyamya ranghasa jatrav atadayach chakram Gajang cha sumahabala. The greatly powerful Jambasura, carried by a lion, approached Indra and forcefully struck him on the shoulder with his club. He also struck Indra's elephant. Gada prahara vyatito prisham vivalito gaja janubhyam dharan sprishtva kashmadang paramang yayo. Being beaten by Jambasura's club, Indra's elephant was confused and aggrieved. Thus it touched its knees to the ground and fell unconscious. Tato rato matalina haribir dashashatai haribir dashatar rita anito dipam utsrija ratang aruruhe vipuhu. Thereafter, Matali, Indra's chariot driver, brought Indra's chariot, which was drawn by 1,000 horses. Indra then left his elephant and got onto the chariot. Tasya tat pujayan karma yantur danava sattama shulena jvalata tangtu smayamano hanang mrite. Appreciating Matali's service, Jambasura, the best of demons, smiled. Nonetheless, he struck Matali in the battle with a trident of blazing fire. I love that. Seherujang Sadur Marsham Satvam Alam Dhyamatali Indra Jambasya Sankrudho Vajrena Paharachchira. Although the pain was extremely severe, Matali tolerated it with great patience. Indra, however, became extremely angry at Jambasura. He struck Jambasura with his thunderbolt and thus severed his head from his body. Jangbang hatam tasya gyatayo naradadrishe namuchish chabalapakas tatra petus twaranvitaha. When Narad Rishi informed Jambasura's friends and relatives that Jambasura had been killed, the three demons named Namuchi, Bala, and Paka arrived on the battlefield in great haste. 1 second. Vachobi Parusher Indram Ardayantosya Marmasu Sharar Avakiran Megha Dharabhir Iva Parvatam. Rebuking Indra with harsh, cruel words that were piercing to the heart, these demons showered him with arrows, just as torrents of rain wash a great mountain. Harindasha Shatanyajo Haryashvasya Balasharai Tavadbhir Ardayan Asa Yugapal Laguhastavan. Quickly handling the situation on the battlefield, the demon Bala put all Indra's 1,000 horses into tribulation by simultaneously piercing them with all. He brought them all into tribulation by simultaneously piercing them all with an equal number of arrows. Shatabhyam matalim pako ratang sabayanam pritak sakrit sandhana mokshena tar arbhutam abhudrane. Paka, another demon, attacked both the chariot with all its paraphernalia and the chariot driver Matali, putting 200 arrows to his bow and releasing them all simultaneously. This was indeed a wonderful act on the battlefield. Namochi panchadashabhi swarnapunkar maheshubhi ahatya vyanadat sankhe satoya ivato yada. Then Namuchi, another demon, attacked Indra and injured him with 15 very powerful golden feathered arrows, which roared like a cloud full of water. Sarvata Sharakutena Shakram Sarata Sarathim Chadayam Asura Pravrit Suram Ivam Buddha. Other demons covered Indra along with his chariots and chariots with incessant showers of arrows, just as clouds cover the sun in the rainy season. Alakshayantastam ativa vivala vichukrushur deva gana sahanugha anayaka shatru balena nirjita vanik pata bhinna navo yatarnave. The demigods, being severely oppressed by their enemies and being unable to see Indra on the battlefield, were very anxious. Having no captain or leader, they began lamenting like traders in a wrecked vessel in the midst of the ocean. Purport. From this statement, it appears that in the upper planetary system, there is shipping and that traders there engage in navigation as their occupational duty. Sometimes, as on this planet, these traders are shipwrecked in the middle of the ocean. It appears that even in the upper planetary system, such calamities occasionally take place. The upper planetary system and the creation of the Lord is certainly not vacant or devoid of living entities. From Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, we understand that every planet is full of living entities, just as Earth is. There is no reason to accept that on other planetary systems there are no living beings. Tatasturashad ishupaddapanjarad nirgata sashvarata dvajagrani pabhodisha kang pritiving chochayan satejasa surya iva kshapatyaye. Thereafter, Indra released himself from the cage of the network of arrows, appearing with his chariot, flag, horses, and chariot driver, and thus pleasing the sky, the earth, and all directions. He shone effulgently like the sun at the end of night. Indra was bright and beautiful in the vision of everyone. Niriksha pritanam deva parar abhyartitam rane udayachad ripum hantum vajram vajradharorusha. When Indra, who is known as Vajradhara, the carrier of the thunderbolt, saw his own soldiers so oppressed by the enemies on the battlefield, he became very angry. Thus he took up his thunderbolts to kill the enemies. Satenai vashtadharena shirasi balapakayo gyatinam pashyatang rajan jahara janayam bhayam. O King Parikshit, King Indra used his thunderbolts to cut off the head of both Bala and Paka in the presence of all their relatives and followers. In this way, he created a very fearful atmosphere on the battlefield. Namuchistad vardhang drishtva shokamarsha rushanvita jikangsur indram nripate chakara paramodyaman. O king, when Namuchi, another demon, saw the killing of both Bala and Paka, he was full of grief and lamentation. Thus he angrily made a great attempt to kill Indra. Ashmasaram ayam shulam ghantavardhema bhushanam pragriya bhyadravat krudho hatositi vitarjachayan prahinur devarajaya ninatan mrigarad iva. Being angry and roaring like a lion, the demon Namuchi took up a steel spear, which was bound with bells and decorated with ornaments of gold. He loudly cried, "Now you are killed!" Thus, coming before Indra to kill him, Namuchi released his weapon. Tadapatarka ganatale mahajalam vichichide harir ishu bisahasrata tamahanam nripa kuleshana kandare rushanvitasti dashapati shiroharam. O king, when Indra, king of heaven, saw this very powerful spear falling toward the ground like a blazing meteor, he immediately cut it to pieces with his arrows. Then, being very angry, he struck Namuchi's shoulder with his thunderbolt to cut off Namuchi's head. Natasahi tacham api vraja urjito vibhedayasura pratinojaserita taradvutam param ativiryavitrabhit tiraskrito namuchi shiro dharatacha. So I don't know what the meter is for this. Although King Indra hurled his thunderbolt at Namuchi with great force, it could not even pierce his skin. It is very wonderful that the famed thunderbolt that had pierced the body of Vitrasura could not even slightly injure the skin of Namuchi's neck. Tasmad Indra vivech chatror vajra pratiha king idam daiva yogena bhutam loka vimohanam. When Indra saw the thunderbolt return from the enemy, he was very much afraid. He began to wonder whether this had happened because of some miraculous superior power. Who is Namuchi, actually? Anyways, Indra's thunderbolt, purport. Indra's thunderbolt is invincible, and therefore, when Indra saw that it had returned without doing any injury to Namuchi, he was certainly very much afraid. I'm so curious who Namuchi is, though. Like, see, I just need to look this up. I'm sorry, guys. Just. Anyways. There's a picture of Namuchi. No, that's Indra. Indra, you split the head of Namuchi with foam. Rig Veda. Okay, well, anyways, there's a lot about him, so I'm not going to read that now because we need to continue on. But he's someone big. Hare Krishna Shasharmaji. Okay. Yena me puradrinam pakshacheda prajatya krito nivishat bharai patatrai patatan bhuvi. Indra thought, formerly, when many mountains flying in the sky with wings would fall to the ground and kill people, I cut their wings with this same thunderbolt. Tapasaramayam pashtram vritroyena vipatita anye chapi balopeta sarvastra akshatatvachaha. Vitrasura was the essence of the austerities undergone by Twashta, yet the thunderbolt killed him. Indeed, not only he, but also many other stalwart heroes, whose very skin could not be injured even by all kinds of weapons, were killed by the same thunderbolt. Soyang pratihato vrajro mayamo shurel pake naham tad adade dandam brahmatejo pyakaranam. Sorry. But now, although the same thunderbolt has been released against a less important demon, it has been ineffectual. Therefore, although it was as good as a Brahmastra, It has now become useless like an ordinary rod. I shall therefore hold it no longer. Iti shakram vishidantam ahavag asaririni nayam shushar ato nardrar vadham arhati danava. Shukadev Goswami continued, while the morose Indra was lamenting in this way, an ominous, unembodied voice said from the sky, "This demon Namuchi is not related by anything dry or moist." Mayasmayad varodato mrityurnaivartrashushkayo atonyas chintaniyaste upayo magavan ripo. The voice also said, "O Indra, because I have given this demon the benediction that he will never be killed by any weapon that is dry or moist, you have to think of another way to kill him." Tandaivin giramakarnya magavan susamahita dhyayan phenam atapashyam upayam ubhayatmakam. I'm sure you can guess what phenam means. Phenam. Did you guess? After hearing the ominous Indra with great attention began to meditate on how to kill the demon. He then saw that foam would be the means, for it is neither moist nor dry. Foam is moist, isn't it? Anyways, maybe not. Na shushkena na chartrena jahara na muche shira tang tushtu vor munikana malayshchava kiran vibhum. Thus Indra, king of heaven, severed Namuchi's head with a weapon of foam, which is neither dry nor moist. Then all the sages satisfied Indra, the exalted personality, by showering flowers and garlands upon him, almost covering him. In this regard, the Shruti mantras say, "Apam fenena Namuche shira indarayat." Indra killed Namuchi with watery foam, which is neither moist nor dry. So curious what that looks like. Was it like poisonous foam, or I don't know, how did he kill him with foam? Anyways. Gandharva mukyo jagatur vishvavasu paravasu deva dundu bhayo nedur nartakyo nandritur muda. Vishvavasu and Paravasu, the two chiefs of the Gandharvas, sang in great happiness. The kettle drums of the demigods sounded, and the Apsaras danced in jubilation. Anyepyevam pratidvandan vayavagni varunataya sudayam asurasuran mrigan kesarino yata. Vayu, Agni, Varuna, and other demigods began killing the demons who opposed them, just as lions killed deer in a forest. Brahmana preshito devan devarshir narato nripa varayam asabi bhutan drishpa danavashankshayam. O king, when Lord Brahma saw the imminent total annihilation of the demons, he sent a message with Narad, who went before the demigods to make them stop fighting. Shri Narad Uvacha Bhavarbhir Amritam Praptam Narayana Bhujashayai Shriya Samedhita Sarva Varamata Vigrahat. The great sage Narad said, "All of you demigods are protected by the arms of Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and by his grace you have gotten the nectar. By the grace of the Goddess of Fortune, you are glorious in every way. Therefore, please stop this fighting. Shishuka uvacha Sangyamya manyu sangrambham manayanto munirvacha upagiya nucharar upagiya mananucharar, whatever. Yayu sarve trivishtapam. Shukadev Goswami said, accepting the words of Narad, the demigods gave up their anger and stopped fighting. Being praised by their followers, they returned to their heavenly planets. Yeva shishtarane tasmin naradanu matena te balim vipannamadaya astam girim upagamam. Following the order of Narad Muni, whatever demons remained on the battlefields took Bali Maharaj, who was in a precarious condition, to the hill known as Astagiri. Tatra vinashtavayavan vidyamana shirodharan ushana jivayam asa samjivanya savavidya. There, on that hill, Shukracharya brought to life all the dead demoniac soldiers who had not lost their heads, trunks, and limbs. He achieved this by his own mantra known as Sanjivani. Balishchoshana sprishta pratyapanindriya smriti parajito pinakidyal lokatattva vichakshana. Bali Maharaj was very experienced in universal affairs. When he regained his senses and memory by the grace of Shukracharya, he could understand everything that had happened. Therefore, although he had been defeated, he did not lament. Purport. It is a sign that Bali Maharaj is here. It is significant that Bali Maharaj is here said to be very experienced. Although defeated, he was not at all sorry, for he knew that nothing could take place without the sanction of the Supreme Personality. Since he was a devotee, he accepted his defeat without lamentation, as stated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Bhagavad Gita 247. Karma nevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Every consciousness should execute its duty without regard for victory or defeat. One must execute his duty as ordered by Krishna or his representative, the spiritual master. Anukulyena Krishnanushilanam Bhaktiruttama. In first-class devotional service, one always abides by the orders and will of Krishna. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 8th canto, 11th chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled King Indra Annihilates the Demons. Alright, so tomorrow I'm not going to read from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. I'm going to read about Advaita Acharya because it's his appearance day. But then the day after tomorrow, we will continue and we will read Mohini Murti bewilders Lord Shiva. Alright, so that will be tomorrow. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Haribol Nitai Gaur Haribol. That's very interesting, Manjari. There's some idea that Indra, who cut the mountain's wings with his thunderbolts, and Rupa Goswami has a beautiful Chitra Kavita about Govardhan avenging all mountains by defeating thunderbolts. That's so cool. I want to check that out. Chitra Kavita is so neat. See, what were those three Titans doing before? Anyways. I can't remember which arrows you're talking about. But yeah, there are lots of arrows, all different kinds of arrows with using all different kinds of elements and stuff. Ah, that is very interesting. Huh. Jai Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai Shri Govina Gopinath Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatarashatashmad Shala Bhaktivedanta Narayan Gosai Maharaj Shala Gurudev Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatarashatashmad Bhavan Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatarashatashmad Bhakti Vedanta Sai Maharaj Shala Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatarashatashmad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatarashatashmad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosai Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitil Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Shila Goksharas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Nitil Pravishta Shila Satchitaranda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Nitil Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Rupano Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhatta Shaghunath Shad Gosai Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanantari Shri Gopal Shada Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Sarva Abhishta Pradakta Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Radha Kunna Shama Kuni Manoganga Tulsi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shri Hari Nam Sankirtan Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Ki Jai Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Vrinday Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavashachai Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavataya Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat pranams, everybody. See you all tomorrow for the glories of Advaita Acharya. Haribol. Oh, well, it's only 3 people here now, so never mind. I'm sure all 3 of you are going to be watching part 2 of the Rup Manjari already saw it. She was the first person to see it, actually. But Prajumna Prabhu and whoever else that is here, check out the documentary. Should I post the link here? I'll do that right now. 1 second. Here's the link. All right. Yeah, check this out. All right. Haribol, everybody. See you tomorrow. Dandavat pranams.